Welcome everyone to Game 4 of the WNBA Finals. Aces still up on the Liberty, 2-1, but going into Game 4, Spencer Byers, Kajan, Thani Castleum, and Cage. Las Vegas was without one star we knew of in Chelsea Gray.
Mm-hmm.
They're now without a second starter in Kia Stokes, who apparently suffered a foot injury at the end of the game and will not be in this contest. So they went from 10 bodies to 8, and they went from 5 starters to 3. So everything is going against the Las Vegas Aces in Game 4, and if the Liberty are able to win this Game 4, which I think at this point they're definitely the betting favorites with, again, 2 starters out for the Aces, is Gray and or Stokes going to be ready for Game 5 in Las Vegas in only 2 days' time? It'll be on Friday. They don't have a whole lot of time to get healthy.
And as you're seeing right there, Stokes is literally in a walking boot right now and on crutches.
Yeah, crutches and a walking boot. I ain't even seen Chelsea Gray yet. Oh, I see her. She's also in looks like a boot with some crutches. So that is 2 crutch-ridden starters for the Las Vegas Aces. So it looks like my prediction, Cage, is going up in flames as I see the lit torch of the lit torch of what would be the staff of the Empire State Building.
Mm-hmm. Oh, them handshakes though, looking like LeBron type handshakes.
But I mean, Cage, I think you said Liberty in 4, win Game 4. I said Aces win Game 4, even without Chelsea Gray. Now I'm not too sure. Not going to switch my pick because I ain't like that, even though I did not know Kia Stokes was not going to play. I'm going to sit by my prediction on Polar Opposites on Monday. I'm going to stick with the Aces, but it's going to be a very tall mountain to climb here in New York at the Barclays Center without 2 starters, Cage. And again, not saying that Kia Stokes is a starter. She only plays about 20 minutes a game, but also being without the starting point guard in Chelsea Gray, who was going to play, I believe, all 40 minutes before she got hurt. I mean, just not good if you're cheering for Las Vegas here.
I could actually argue Stokes is a bigger loss than Chelsea Gray in this situation.
I wouldn't even argue with you, Cage. I'm just more saying because of the minutes that Chelsea Gray plays, that hole is going to be so hard for the Aces to fill up. Because I think Stokes, you're right, is a very impactful player when she's on the floor. And impact, I think you can argue. But the minutes, the sheer number of minutes Chelsea Gray is on the floor as the point guard is going to cause the Aces problems in the guard play, even with Kelsey Plum being the point guard. And if it's not going to be her, it's going to be Jackie Young. One of those two is bringing the ball up the floor.
Well, see, Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young have proven that they can live up to the task, and another guard has to step up. Maybe it could be Alicia Clark, even though she's a forward. But I think height-wise, specifically for this matchup, in which you have to deal with the dynamic duo on the inside of MVP Breanna Stewart and
former MVP Jonquel Jones.
And it seems like they're going with height to start off this starting lineup, which is kind of a good idea. With
Kayla George, number 13. She is a 6'4" power forward / center. But in fairness, Cage, and I will say this, George has only averaged 8.5 minutes a game in the regular season. She'll be starting at center. We'll see how long she lasts at center. So the starting lineup is Alicia Clark, Kelsey Plum, Aja Wilson, Jackie Young, and Kayla George for the Aces, while the Liberty are coming out with their normal lineup of Sabrina Ionescu, Jonquel Jones, Breanna Stewart, Courtney Vandersloot, and Benijah Laney. No, it's going to be a tall mountain, Cage, for the Las Vegas Aces.
And the issue is, like, Stokes took over the impact on the defensive end guarding one of either Stewart or Jones. That's a tall task for Kayla George to fill.
and we're about to hit tip-off, Cage. Not to interrupt you here, but I gotta say this. Kayla George has not played more than 4 minutes in any game since September 10th against the Phoenix Mercury, who were I believe the worst team in the WNBA, if not one of the worst by record. She played 12 minutes in that game, Cage. Since that moment on September 10th, she's played no more than 4 minutes. That's over a month. So we'll see what George can do here. She actually has possession now on the elbow as we have started the first quarter here between the Aces and the Liberty. Nice move, though, and rattles it in is A'ja Wilson, and that's a great start for the Aces. A'ja Wilson had a horrible game 3. She needs to be big in this game if they're gonna survive without their starting point guard. Ionescu now with possession off the hedge. Wide open is Vandersloot. Plum still guarding Vandersloot. As Vandersloot passes it basically away as Laney couldn't pick up the scraps, and that's an early turnover. Now, Cage, I'm not going to say anything. We're not even a minute into this game, but this is eerily similar to the Aces start in game 3, where they turned the ball over on, I believe, their first 3 possessions.
The Aces? Wasn't it the Liberty that turned the ball over? Wasn't it the Aces that turned the ball over twice?
It was 3, Aces 3 times in game 3. I hope that's what I said. I thought that's what I said. As Alicia Clark lays that one in through some contact. Yeah, this Liberty start was, that first possession was eerily similar, Cage, to the Aces start.
Mm-hmm.
As Benijah Laney hits that 3, which is a big shot for Benijah Laney, who's been taking a lot of shots in this series. Kayla George for 3, and it's well heavy. It goes over. Put a lob there for Stewart. She probably wanted the foul there on George. She wasn't looking for the ball as that ball was off the referee, so it's out of play. A'ja Wilson trying to headman it there, or head woman it, I guess I should say, to Alicia Clark.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of switching I've noticed from this Aces defense as Brianna Stewart can't get the bounce. As A'ja Wilson with the rebound.
You are a touch ahead of me, Cage, but not by very much, so it shouldn't cause us too many problems. As Wilson for Clark, quickly for Jackie Young, who spots up on a trailing Jonquel Jones, who got a little lazier on the weak side, I'd say, Cage. Which is a problem across the board on all levels, Cage, being a little lazy on the weak side. Kelsey Gray daring Vandersloot to shoot inside to Jonquel Jones, and they're going to call a travel as she did bump Young out of the way to get the layup to go, but apparently didn't use her dribble or plan her feet enough to make it work. As you see there on your screen, Kajan, Chelsea Gray's on her feet. Technically on her foot with the boot on, but regardless, she's on her feet as that ball's hit by Vandersloot and stolen by Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
So Gray will be having an impact on this game, just not the impact we've normally seen from her in this series. As that foul goes against Plum, trying to fight through the screen on Ionescu. And that is something, Cage, that we've talked about a lot in this series. How Kelsey Plum, who normally guards Vandersloot, has been going under every single screen. If she's guarding Ionescu, she can't go under those screens. Or Ionescu will shoot it, and more likely than not, will make it. As Laney spots up in George's face, that ball rims up and out, so they'll let that ball roll, and Alicia Clark will now play it in.
I am not liking the start from the Liberty at all.
I don't either.
The Aces are very thin depth-wise. And you're telling me you can't really take advantage.
Ooh, Cage, I do not like that pass. And luckily for the Liberty, it hasn't really cost him as of yet. Ionescu out for Stewart, thought about shooting it in for Laney. Up, no good. And who's touched it last? It was Jackie Young, who also is laying on the floor.
And she is very slow to get up, and I mean very
hasn't gotten up yet.
Slow.
Fighting there with Laney was Plum, Young, and I'm not sure where she hurt herself. It was the extension trying to get the ball, or if it was the lunge trying to get the loose ball after that, or somewhere in the middle there, Cage. I'm not exactly sure. She's now getting up to her feet. And she is, again, and she is limping. Cage. If they go down to 7 players, I think the Aces are almost out of it. No offense to Becky Hammond or Plum or any of the Aces players, but you can't lose 3 starters and expect to win a game in the finals. I don't think any team could lose 3 starters of any league in the finals and expect to be able to win the game. As Stewart threw Clark, no good. Rebounded by Jonquel Jones, up, and it's good. The Liberty needed a lot of chances there, Cage, and I did not like that last look. Vandersloot gave up what looked like a wide-open layup to give it to Stewart, who had to rush the shot and missed, as Wilson gets it to go. This is a great start for the Aces, Cajun, other than the offensive rebounding they haven't been able to do, which you would expect without their starting center in Kia Stokes. Ionescu, no good. Rebounded by Vandersloot. Into the corner for Benijah Laney. Had to pump it. Gives it up for Vandersloot, and it's good. And that's a good start for a player that's really struggled in this series, Cajun, and Courtney Vandersloot.
She had a much better game 3, though.
Definitely much better game 3, but they still didn't respect her as a shooter. She has to make her first couple for them to not go under her screen.
I've kind of noticed throughout this game that they're really playing physical, and the refs are letting them play through a lot of contact. And
in fairness, Cage, that is on both sides, but you are right.
And this is the type of start A'ja Wilson needs.
100%. Couldn't agree more with that. 4 points, 3 rebounds, already almost 5 minutes into this contest. Clark thought about giving it to George. A little late there, trying to get that ball there. Clark kind of hesitated, hitched it, if you will, as Stewart did get a hand on it. So 4 seconds on the shot clock. And the Aces are going to have to get a shot quick away. This ball better not get tipped as it comes in, or the Liberty are not going to get a real shot attempt with 4 seconds left. Because unlike the men's game, with a lot of girls not being able to dunk, you're not really able to just lob it at the rim. As Plum couldn't get it away, but now with 1 second left off of the Vandersloot touch, it means the Liberty basically had a catch and fire. Yeah, and it looks like Young's grabbing at her knee there. That ball shot right as shot clock goes, didn't touch, so it should be a violation, and it is.
Well, Aces now with 4 turnovers, and we're not even halfway through the first quarter yet.
But lucky, Kajan, those turnovers have not been steals. They have just been trying to give the ball away just about, as Jonquel Jones couldn't get through the contact. Not happy about it there, but she does get away the ball. So that's turnover going the other way, Cage. That's already 7 turnovers collectively between the two sides in this game already. We're not even 5 minutes in just yet. But a big stat there, Cage. 3 for 10 from the floor right now are the Liberty, which is not particularly good. Even though they offensively rebound really well, you still don't want to shoot 30% from the field and expect to really be in a contest. As Vandersloot's on George. George tried to get it there to Wilson, got poked away by Jonquel Jones. Vandersloot, Ionescu wide open, and it's good for Sabrina Ionescu.
Timeout called by Becky Hammond.
I expect a lot more timeouts by Las Vegas here, Cage, just because of the lack of bodies.
And because of the lack of chemistry between the people that have to fill in for those lack of bodies. You're going to expect a lot of those turnovers, but they are going to play hard on both ends of the floor. I've liked how they have played defensively, being very physical, but offensively, this is going to be a big issue in it. And that was their 5th turnover of the game. The difference between that and the other 4 turnovers, that was live ball, and they couldn't set their defense.
I guess I also should mention here, Cage, that Kayla George has not started a game yet this season. She's had 32 appearances this season, with obviously, as I said, no starts, averaging about 8.5 minutes a game, 8.5 minutes when she is in the game, which is about a quarter, little under 8.5, 10-minute quarter, so almost a quarter when she's made appearances. But there's a big difference, Cage, between starting and coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And some guys just start because of what they bring to a team, and some players come off the bench. Like Lou Williams, Sweet Lou, was a chronic sixth man of the year because of how good he was off of the bench. Never really got chances to start. And I'm not here to say he shouldn't have, might I add. Because sometimes I think you could argue that Lou Williams should have been a starting guard, shooting guard, or point guard for any given bottom feeder team. But in fairness, he just felt like he was a better spark plug off of the bench. So it will be interesting to see how many minutes Kayla George does play in this game, and what the Aces do as a rotation with the three bench players they've got. And again, I do want to mention here, Candace Parker still hurt with that foot injury she suffered in July. She's not dressed that I know of, that I haven't seen for sure, so I don't assume she's still injured, which would mean that's 3 players from the Aces that are hurt, and 2 of which are bigs in Parker and Stokes, respectively. So technically, Kayla George is like the third center / fourth forward on the team, other than, of course, A'ja Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
We are now back from the commercial break. 11-9 in favor of the Liberty over the Las Vegas Aces.
And I want to mention this, Spencer. In terms of championship play, Breanna Stewart is 2-0 when it comes to the WNBA.
She's undefeated in basically all championship play from high school till now, except for one when she was playing internationally in, I'm not sure if it was Russia or Turkey, but they said that she has 1 loss in any finals, in any championship series, any championship game, I guess I should say. And that is after she tore her Achilles in the second quarter. Is her only loss in the international play. And that was undefeated in college, undefeated in high school. Other than tearing her Achilles in the second quarter, has been undefeated in international play and is undefeated in the WNBA. As plumb deep to no good. Rebounder, though, by Clark, and gets it to go. And that is not good there for the Liberty to give up an offensive rebound with both Stewart and Jonquel Jones right there. And again, it's not like it was a big who got it. It was a smaller player, even though she just played the post in Alicia Clark.
I mean, it might have been right place at the right time, but not a great pass there from Clark to George, who just airmailed it.
And that's a pretty hard pass to make there for Clark, because George is 6'4". So Kayla George is rather tall, and she still overthrew it. That's 6 turnovers now for the Aces in this first quarter.
Oh, what a pass there from Vandersloot. Even better defensive play there by Wilson.
Oh, no, I thought, again, I'm a little behind Kajan. I thought she tipped it as it came in, but she did a great job there recovering on the pass when caught by Ionescu and said, no, and got that away. And she gave a little nod as she hit it, knowing that she was still in good enough position to make a play on the ball. And to mention, the Aces are making a substitution here early as George whacks that one away from Jonquel Jones. Jonquel wanted a foul, doesn't get it. Young now, nice Euro through Ionescu, bounces, misses. Clark with the offensive. Plum now with possession, gives it off to George. George for Wilson. Wilson out for Clark. Clark for Young. Young over Jones, and it's no good.
I think Clark, she had an opportunity for an offensive rebound, but and to finish at the rim, but never really took advantage of that, as Vandersloot got the and one to drop. And credit to Courtney Vandersloot, she's been very aggressive to start off this game.
And let's be honest, Cage, she's needed to be. As Vandersloot, you mentioned, gets the and one through A'ja Wilson, which, Cage, another thing that might be playing right now for the Aces is they can't get in foul trouble. They have not enough bodies to be in foul trouble like they've been throughout this series, especially in Game 3. As A'ja Wilson They did make a substitution. I will mention that here in a second. As Wilson trying to fight through a body there, I think, of Jonquel Jones, rebounded by Ionescu off the miss. That might have been a travel, but regardless, played around now. Laney trying to get around Clark. Going to get the screen from Jones. Kind of rejected it. Took the three anyway. Didn't get it to go as Plum gets the defensive rebound. As I want to mention, that's Kirsten Bell, who just came in for the Aces. She's in for George. Got the pass. Looked like a lob, but she didn't jump for it. So it's a turnover in the end there for Bell, it looked like. Vandersloot gets the screen. Again, kind of too many steps there, it felt like. Ionescu for Stewart, for Vandersloot for three, and it's good.
So now Vandersloot with 9 of the Aces of the Liberty 17 points. And I gotta say here, Spence, it's really getting physical. And Clark's pass picked off by Laney, and that's the easiest 2 points she's going to get.
And that's when you wish you had. I don't think Breonna Stewart can dunk. I don't think. 14-2 run for the Liberty, might I add, in the last about 4.5 minutes or so. Basically, since the timeout by the Aces, it's been a 14-2 run in favor of the home side, in favor of the black shirts. As Plum for Aja Wilson, pull up, jumper, no good. It got airmailed over. They're going to call that off of Laney, though, so it'll be possession back to the Aces.
You can tell Gray's so frustrated not being on the floor with her teammates.
It's getting to the point there, Cage, where I'm scared you're going to jump on the floor with 5 seconds here on the shot clock.
At this point, I wouldn't blame her.
Wilson can't get it to go. And now the other way it will come.
And this is problematic for the Aces. I'm going to let you see that.
Wilson with the foul on Stewart's three-point attempt. That's her second. And again, Aja Wilson cannot be in foul trouble in this game. Neither can Plum or Clark, if in fairness. Neither probably should Jackie Young. And I know I'm basically saying all of their players, but when you only got so many bodies, you can't really afford any of your top players to get into trouble.
Especially arguably your best player.
They're going to the mic here. I'm figuring out what they're going to say here, Cage.
They're reviewing it.
For flagrant?
For maybe a flagrant.
They're gonna call it. So what the official ruling is, and that's why I've been paused here, is reckless closeout. And a reckless closeout is just a flagrant one, basically. You get the shots and the ball is the only difference. And I don't know, Cage, because I guess I don't know the definition of that rule, because that is not in the men's game, or at least never been called in the men's game that I've ever seen. I've never heard of that particular rule. I think Kawhi Leonard would approve of that rule. But, it looked like they just collided there because Stewart's shooting motion pushes herself forward while Wilson's going the other way, obviously. It's not like she shot inside her cylinder. It definitely was a moving forward shot there for Stewart, in my opinion. So I don't think they're going to get the reckless closeout call. But I guess we'll see, Cage. Yep, so they're going to call the foot-to-foot contact, what I saw, and they're going to just call it a foul, which is Aja Wilson's second foul, and now she'll be done for the rest of the quarter, at least with 2 fouls, which it looked like Kayla George will be on the floor. So for the first time I'll say in a quarter, but in any point in the game that was not garbage time, meaning a lead either way, at the end of the fourth quarter, with all the reserves in, are we going to see Kirsten Bell and Kayla George with technically 2 other starters in Plum and Young, plus 6th Woman of the Year Alicia Clark? And Maureen Johannes comes in for the Liberty, as Stewart makes number 1. And the Liberty pulling away early in this one, Cage, and it's, I'll say, to be expected, with a lot of players gone for the Aces.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, Gage, if there's a recipe for Liberty to be the first team ever to come back down 2-0 in a series for the first time ever in WNBA history, it would be when two starters for the Aces are out.
Mm-hmm.
And Kirsten Bell comes straight back out after getting subbed in. I rushed to find the name of the player in for her. It's Sydney Colson in for the Aces. As now Colson with possession gives it off there to Jackie Young. I expect Young and Plum will play the entire game. Fake shot there by Colson, who gets the free drive and lay in.
That's a nice move there from Colson, and that's a good sign. Coming onto the floor for the first time and immediately making an impact with that shot fake and drive to the basket.
Kajan, you're such a nice guy, because that was horrible defense by the Liberty. My goodness, roll out the red carpet, Kajan. They gave her no resistance when she got by her defender on the fake, as Menage Laney's going to go to the line, it looks like, as they are in the bonus.
Hey, you gotta give credit to Colson for taking advantage of that, though.
I'm not saying that Colson didn't do a good shot, but I mean, when nobody helps and she has a free walk to the lane, you kind of expect her to make that shot, don't you? As Laney goes to the line for two. Again, back in the bonus. I think the foul went to Colson. Laney good with one.
And we mentioned of how like the guard play has really struggled. Now I don't know if you really could call Laney a guard.
She's included in that graphic they normally do, Cage. So we'll call her a guard for this purpose.
Um, but it's the guard play right now that has 19 of the 23 points.
Nice pass there to Clark. George lost it. Clark's going to have to fire, not able to, and they're not going to be able to get the shot away before the shot clock goes, and she hit it. Oh, that's got to suck there for Colson, the reserve, who hits the shot as the whistles are blown for the shot clock violation, the second by the Aces in this quarter.
So both teams are not shooting the ball well, but here's the biggest difference. Points off a turnover, 7-2. Turnovers, Aces have 8.
Liberty got 4.
Mm-hmm.
So double right now do the Aces have in turnovers, and I cannot believe Thornton couldn't make that layup, as George got a late contest on it, but it still would have thought she had a good look. But 10 points is the difference after one. 23-13 lead for the New York Liberty over the Las Vegas Aces. And with Stokes and Gray looking in at the scrum here as we get ready for the quarter break. Again, you saw Jackie Young go down. And it's getting worrying if you're an Aces fan. Because, again, they came in undefeated in the playoffs going into Game 3. They lose Game 3. And now they are, I'd say, most likely going to lose Game 4 with the way it's going. Unless they clean up a lot of errors they've made in this game. And, again, get over the hump of all of the injuries they're dealing with now.
Mm-hmm.
And then, again, at that point, Cage, you got to think about, okay, if this game gets out of reach, how do you rest players when you only have 8 dressed? And as we said before the game even started, Cage, how do you look at Game 5 is going to be a different result when I'd say there's no possibility that Gray will play in Game 5 on Friday if needed, which at this point it looks like it's gonna. And then Stokes, whatever's wrong with Stokes, she's in a boot, so you'd expect she's not going to be ready for Friday. And if she is, it won't be 100%. And again, Cage, that's when you have to look at, do they play at below 100%? And if they do, how effective will they be at whatever percentage they're at? If it's between 50, because I'd say if they're below 50%, they're not going to play. So you'd say, what, 60, 70% for Gray or Stokes if they're able to get back on Friday?
I mean, you would rather have a 60 to 70% Stokes or Gray at this point. And you could get away with that against a lot of opponents. against a Liberty, it'll be tough. But if they are physically able to play in our and will like play through injuries, then you gotta take that risk at least for one game, at least for a winner take all game.